John Connor is safely in his bunker. Skynet has become self-aware, and the only thing standing between life as norm and Judgment Day is you, the commander of the one and only analog missile command outpost yet to receive Cyberdyne's digital upgrade. This is Missile Command on the Atari 2600. Or at least that's what I tell myself the game is about. Hello, I am Grin and welcome to another video game review by me. If you have a strange and inexplicable hatred towards Terminator or games based off of Terminator, don't worry, because the manual informs us that that's not the storyline at all. And if you love games based on Terminator, then good news for you. Like me, you probably have an imagination and you can pretend what the manual is telling you is crap, because really the manual is crap and this game is about Terminator Judgment Day. I was originally going to read you the actual storyline from the manual, but it begins with the sentence, "Aliens from the planet of Krytel have begun an attack on the planet Zardon," and it's about that far into it that I decided, no, the manual is in fact wrong, and this is about Terminator 3 Judgment Day. But before we do get into the game itself, let's look a bit more at the manual, because there are quite a few funny things in here. The first funny thing I find in this manual is that it's printed with 5 languages in it, which I find quite strange, because surely it would have been cheaper to print 5 different manuals, each with their own language, than it has been to print the one manual with 5 languages and distribute it to all those countries. I mean, that's 5 times the paper and 5 times the ink for every single manual, rather than just splitting them up. The second thing I love about this manual is it comes with a diagram to tell you how to use your pleasure stick in the game. This is funny because it's quite unnecessary, because all you do is point your pleasure stick where you want the cursor to go. It's very straightforward, and it most certainly does not need a complex diagram. The final funny thing with the manual is also reflected on the box, where it advertises that there are 34 video games, and then you go into the manual and it specifies it's actually just the same game with 34 different variations, such as difficulty settings and multiplayer. With this in light, I'm surprised the box didn't also advertise that it has 5 different manuals inside, and then you open the box and it specifies it's just the same manual with 5 different language variations. But that's enough about the manual. Let's get into the actual game. As I stated earlier, you use your pleasure stick to move a cursor around the screen. That cursor functions as an aimer, and when you click the red button, you fire an anti-ballistic missile towards that aimer. You use these anti-ballistic missiles to shoot down interplanetary ballistic missiles and cruise missiles before they hit any of your cities. And oh my golly, when they hit your cities, do they hit them in an amazing fashion. Take a look at this nuclear explosion that occurs. The manual informs us that once all of your cities are destroyed, the game is over. This, however, is not entirely true. Every time you get 10,000 points, you earn an extra city. So if all of your cities are destroyed and the round is not over, you have until the end of the round to get those 10,000 points and get yourself another city once the round is over. Each time you manage to earn yourself another city, you're rewarded with a little ditty that plays. Speaking of which, this game has the most ballsy city planners in the entire universe. Despite the nuclear war still raging, they just build their new cities right on top of the nuclear waste that is the old cities. I'm sure they're aware of what happened to the previous residents, but they just don't seem to care. Some of these landfills even get nuked 4 times in a row, but they just keep building them. I admire that in a city planner. You get points for how many cities survive until the end of the round, you get points for how many missiles you don't use, and you get points for how many missiles of the enemies you shoot down. Clearly, once more, management has spared no expense, with this game costing them a whopping $2 second-hand. The previous owner has written on the back, Game 1, 65,000, so I'm assuming the previous owner's top score was 65,000 on the Game 1 variant. And therefore my score to beat is 65,000 on the Game 1 variant. Not unlike Planet Patrol on the Atari 2600, this game transitions between day and night. Unlike Planet Patrol on the Atari 2600, this game is actually really good fun. It works well, the controllers work well, the graphics look great, there are no game-breaking glitches like are in Planet Patrol on the Atari 2600. The difficulty increases with the game, it's fair, it's fun, and it's fantastic. I am assuming that if you're watching this review, you have not played or do not own Missile Command on the Atari 2600, because if you have played Missile Command, or if you do own Missile Command, then you would not be watching this review right now, you would be playing Missile Command. This game is that good. It is so good that I'm actually encouraging you to stop watching my video and to go and play Missile Command. So if you have got this far into the review, I can only assume that you've not played or do not own Missile Command on the Atari 2600. And to all of you out there who do not own Missile Command or have not played Missile Command, I've got only one thing to say to you. Head down to your local video store and pick up a copy of Missile Command on the Atari 2600.